Welcome back to Attic to Basement Estate Cleanouts with Raccoons. About that name, here's the story that gave me the show title. Two men lived in a 3-story brick home in Silver Spring. It was valued at $612,000 in 2009. Now it's worth only $565,000. But don't feel bad, the neighbor bought it for back taxes for much less. Back to the story. At one time, they had a female roommate, but she had moved out, and so they filled her room with newspapers, magazines, and mail. I couldn't open the door more than 8 inches. The mail was all over the floor and even with the bed. Top of the mattress. Why people hang on to things like that, I'll never know. And they lost the whole use of the room. One man died in the house, and when the ambulance was called and the crew came in, they realized the other man was very sick. Lots of open beer cans and plastic frozen food plates all over the living room. So one man was taken to the funeral parlor and one was taken to rehab. I spent the first morning throwing out the beer cans, plastic plates, and other usual trash in the living room. The paper and trash were about 4 inches deep on the floor, and all the other surfaces were covered. We went out to get lunch and came back, and I continued to work in the living room while my other helpers worked in other rooms. I picked up magazines from the floor and uncovered a dead raccoon on the floor. I think he had been drinking the beer and licking the food off the frozen food plates until he ran out of food and died. This was several months after the death of the owner had occurred. He was locked in the house. We couldn't figure out how the raccoon got into the house until we got working upstairs and found a door chewed, which led us to a hole in the attic where the raccoon had found a hole in the eaves. The raccoon was looking for a warmer place to live in the winter and had chewed the hole bigger to get into the house. At that time, my cell phone didn't have a camera, so I couldn't take a picture of it. Otherwise, I'd have a picture of a flattened, dried out raccoon to show you. Instead, you'll have to settle for one of the living room. My sister, who came to work with me, wouldn't come into the house after she heard about the raccoon. She sorted through paperwork on the front sidewalk, looking for stocks, savings bonds, and tax papers. It was the first and last time she worked for me. This type of environment isn't for everybody. This job took 4 people, a total of 119 hours to clear out. In 2006, I had 40 clients over the year, and one was in Rockville. The house was 1,400 square feet and built in 1956. This house had no basement, but it had a huge attic over a detached garage. Up in the attic, we found 2 strange white table lamps with metal fences and metal flowers around the base of the lamp. At auction, the auction owner and I were astounded to find out that those 2 lamps sold for $270. We were told a young man bought them to sell it on eBay. So if you know who has a better photo of these lamps, have them send me a photo. I'd love to post a good photo, as they were memorable, and I've never come across any like them again. Here's also a picture of the cartoon from last week, in case you couldn't read it then. Tips for doing an estate clean out. I needed to have medical gloves and face masks on hand, as you can see by the first house photos. Also black trash bags and clear trash bags. I had the best luck with Kirkland's, Costco's Kirkland 30-gallon black trash bags and clear bags. The black ones meant trash to me and my crew, and we put charity, clothing, and linens in the clear bags. Even when we threw metal hangers in the bags, they didn't rip. I have thrown out clothing that was bagged in black trash bags by families before we started working in the house because they were unmarked, and I just thought they were soiled or ripped clothes. Use blue painter's tape on furniture that is going to be sold. Tell junk haulers not to take anything with blue tape on it. A long piece of the blue painter's tape that was the width of the palm of your hand was easy to spot by everyone, and it would not harm fabric or wood. But don't put it on gilded or painted items such as picture frames, because it will take the paint right off. I found that out the hard way. Junk haulers often have several workers, and they sometimes spread out into different rooms and at the same time, and once and twice furniture had to be brought back in from the truck. It wasn't supposed to be trashed. That's another reason to find a trash hauler that you'll work with over and over again, because they'll get familiar with your operation and you will know their operation and their workers. Some haulers want to be paid on the spot, and I wouldn't do that. As I've said before, they need to bill my client. A trash hauler that has been in business over a year should have enough money in the bank to pay his employees and can bill my invoice to the client, bill his invoice to the client. I stated at the bottom of my invoice that the client had 30 days to pay. I only had to file in small claims court with one client. She was executor for a brother-in-law who had died, and her own husband was in a nursing home. She didn't pay until I sent her several letters by registered mail before I filed in small claims court. And then she paid me, and the reason was she said she couldn't do the stairs at the courthouse. I don't care, I got paid. Find someone to work with you or for you that has knowledge of items you might not have. I knew the names of tools and craft items. I hired people who knew about fishing rods, jewelry, linens, books, glassware, and antique furniture. I learned as I worked, and I bought reference books, but having someone with you at the moment who's knowledgeable is valuable. In the beginning years, at the end of each job, I even say thank you notes to whoever hired me. But the final 8 years, I was busy doing over 60 houses a year, and I just didn't have time. So I started sending a gift basket of candy and fruit delivered by Costco to the top 5 people who gave me the most work in the past year. And I sent Thanksgiving cards out to the rest of them. So Washington, D.C. was such a diverse area, I didn't know who celebrated Christmas. So I would send the gift baskets out at Thanksgiving because I figured it was a safe assumption everyone there celebrated Thanksgiving. So that's it for Attic to Basement Estate Cleanouts with Raccoons this time. Please join me for the next episode. Bye.